Hello and welcome to another episode of Exploring Standards. I am your host, Jess, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by James Williams, the Operations Director of 3Core2. And James has over 18 years experience in the certification industry. James, how are you today?
Oh yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for inviting me, having me here today. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So today we are talking about BAFE SP101. So before we really get into that, how about you tell our guests a little about yourself and a little bit about 3Core2?
Yeah, of course. So as you said, I've been involved in certification for it's almost 18 years now, which makes me feel a little bit old, to be honest. My children probably would agree with that as well. I've worked for a couple of sort of large accredited testing, inspection and certification bodies over that time. Really covered a variety of different roles as well over that period as well. So commercial, operational, primarily more technical roles. I'm now a director at 3Core2 certification, or 3Core2, whichever you prefer. So we're a relatively new certification body. So formed in 2019 by the managing director, a guy called Don Holdsworth. Really the view to offering certification services with integrity and quality, but with a strong focus on customer service. So I think one of the things that sets us apart is our responsiveness to our clients. You know, we make sure we're always on hand to answer any questions and help them when they're needed. We're based in the Northwest in Warrington. We actually, as well, importantly, we gained accreditation with the United Kingdom Accreditation Service, or UCAS as they're known, back in 2022, so a couple of years after we started the business. And now we offer certification to a range of management system standards, so ISO 9001, 14 and 45, 27001, and of course, BAFE SP101, which is what we're here to discuss today.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I just want to say I love the ethos in your company about customer service, because obviously that is a massive one, especially in certification bodies. Getting a quick response is key, isn't it?
I think having worked in a lot of certification bodies, I've seen how it's done well and how it's done not so well. So I think, the main thing is, we have to deliver our services in a set way, but there's nothing to stop us putting the customer first and trying to deliver that top quality service. So we're invested in sort of internal KPIs and everything like that, just to make sure that everything we do it with stealth and precision.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So let's get into our topic today. So firstly, can you tell us what does BAFE SP101 stand for, and sort of a brief overview of it as well?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah. So BAFE actually stands for the British Approvals for Fire Equipment. And the SP101 start relates to one of the schemes that's developed and owned by BAFE. So SP101 is a scheme for the competency of portable fire extinguisher organisations and technicians. So basically what BAFE does is develops and manages competency schemes for the fire industry. They're also an independent register of quality fire safety organisations in the UK. So any organisation that features on the BAFE register effectively demonstrates their commitment to competency, and they have to earn their place on that register, if you like, by being audited by a UCAS accredited certification body like ourselves.
Fabulous, thank you. So what is a BAFE SP101 Certificate of Compliance?
Yeah, well, so following a successful sort of third-party audit process, certification bodies such as ourselves will issue a certificate which effectively confirms that the organisation is compliant with the scheme requirements. So 3Core2 actually offers certification to BAFE SP101 alongside certification to ISO 9001. So the certificate actually confirms compliance to ISO 9001 and BAFE SP101 scheme requirements. So it's worth noting that the certificate will identify the scope of activities conducted by the client, including the geographical areas in which it operates and the number of technicians it employs as well. Just to note, though, that obtaining your certificate does not automatically make you BAFE registered. So once you actually achieve certification, which I'm sure we'll talk through later, the process in a bit more detail, but once you've achieved it, you have to apply directly to BAFE to actually achieve that registration. But it's only possible to do that once you have that all-important certificate.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, because I think that must confuse or get a few clients, you think, oh, I've got the certificate here, like what's wrong? And then actually, no, it's a final step you need to do.
It definitely does, yeah.
Fabulous. So you did mention it briefly, so let's go into a bit more detail. Can you talk us through the certification process?
Of course I can, yeah. So just as an overview to start with, unlike some other BAFE schemes out there, with SP101, the first step is actually contacting your certification body and gaining certification to the scheme. So once you're granted certification, then you apply directly to BAFE for that registration. And also, at that point, you register at least one fire extinguisher technician directly with BAFE. So at this point, BAFE then complete an initial fire extinguisher technician assessment, following which they would actually award the scheme registration, and then you would be listed on the BAFE register. So that's sort of an overview, but I'll go into a little bit more detail, particularly onto the first part, which is the gaining certification and sort of our role in that as well.
Yep.
So the BAFE SP101 scheme requires organisations to basically have a quality management system. So if you don't already have one in place, then the first step is the implementation of that management system. Now, as a certification body, we can't get involved in that implementation of a management system because we must be completely independent when we conduct an audit of that system. So this is something that really organisations need to work on first to get them started. Now, there are plenty of independent consultants out there like yourselves at Ascent Risk Management who specialise in helping people implement management systems. So that's always a good option if you're not familiar with management system standards. So once your management system is in place, it's been implemented, it's then time to contact the certification body. So if in doubt, when you're looking for your cert body, check on BAFE's website to see which cert bodies are actually approved by BAFE. So there are currently, I think, 6 active certification bodies who can provide BAFE SP101, for which obviously 3Core2 are one of. And when you contact a cert body, like us, it's not a daunting or difficult process. You know, we gather a little bit of information about you, about your organisation, and we produce a quotation. Largely will be based on the size and scale of your operations, including the number of technicians actually employ. So once you're happy, you've chosen that cert body and you're happy to proceed, it's then time to book your audit. Now, the audit process is done in 2 stages. So very much the same for lots of management system standards. The stage 1 is a review of your management system and supporting documentation to basically determine your readiness for actual certification. So it kind of serves to a degree as a bit of a gap analysis, but there is an expectation that the system will be there, even if it's in infancy. So if there are areas of improvement at that point, you know, they'll be identified so you can put them right prior to stage 2. And then stage 2 is the full process audit. Really, that is aims to evaluate the implementation and effectiveness of the management system within the scope of the certification. So the stage 2 will cover quality management system elements, but also operational and competency elements as well. So it'll involve auditing a sample of the organisation's technicians with site visits to witness actual fire extinguisher works being conducted, whether that be live or retrospective. So ultimately, the stage 1 covers what you say you do. The stage 2 puts that to the test. So just worth saying that when we conduct audits, we are looking for compliance, not non-compliance. But if there are areas of non-conformity, then these are raised and do require some corrective action before any certificate is issued. So we're saying audits are not a pass or fail. It is always about continual improvement. That's the most important thing. So once that 2-stage process has been successfully completed, you will receive your certificate confirming compliance. And we also, at that point, inform BAFE that the certificate has been issued as well. Then it is time for the organisation to directly register with BAFE. So along with that registration, you need to obviously register technicians who are performing at fire extinguisher works as well. So you need to submit that to BAFE, including evidence of training and competence of those technicians. BAFE then conducts a field assessor technical assessment on the registered technicians. Each technician has at least one field assessment over a 3-year registration cycle. And then follow that initial technical assessment by BAFE, registration is granted, and the organisation then are listed on the BAFE register.
That was fabulous. Thank you. That is quite, it's sort of a different sort of process that we normally hear. And I think you've done a really good job of kind of outlining that for our listeners. So thank you so much. That was fantastic. So how long does the BAFE SP101 certificate last?
Well, as we actually certify BAFE SP1 alongside ISO 9001, the certificate actually lasts for 3 years.
Yeah.
So once you've been through that successful initial audit, you receive a certificate with an expiry date 3 years from the date it's issued. Even though it lasts for 3 years, though, there's still requirement for an annual audit. So we call these surveillance audits. They're conducted on an annual basis to effectively make sure that the system is continued to be maintained and that it continues to be effective. And then at the end of every 3-year cycle, there is something called a recertification audit, which basically allows us then to issue a certificate for the next 3 years and so on and so forth. So your actual certificate, is always in a 3-year period. Your registration with BAFE will remain as long as the organisation continues to hold valid certification and is compliant with scheme requirements.
Okay. So you don't need to re-register with BAFE once you're at the first time?
No, so, effectively, once you're registered and as long as you maintain that certification, obviously we communicate with BAFE as well. We inform them if a certificate is issued or if a certificate is withdrawn for any reason. So there's collaboration between us and BAFE as well. So yeah, it will just continue.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that and that clarification as well. So is this a legal requirement then?
No, actually. So BAFE SP101 is a voluntary scheme. So there's no legal requirement for fire extinguisher organisations to register with BAFE. However, as with a lot of standards and things like that, organisations may potentially find themselves excluded for some contract opportunities if they don't have BAFE registration. So, as you know, it is a legal requirement for non-domestic and commercial properties to equip building, with firefighting equipment as appropriate. And when they're looking for someone to install and maintain that equipment, it's really a business, the due diligence of that business is really important to make sure that they source a quality provider for doing those works. Choosing an organisation for that's registered on the BAFE scheme is a really good way of doing it, as the scheme really exists to provide evidence that companies are competent.
Yeah, do you know what? We get that a lot as well. It's people come to us like, oh, we need this for a tender, or we're going to, for any certification. So even though it's not a legal requirement, it sounds like it's something that, really does help you push your company forward, especially in those tenders. So going into our final question, does it help suppliers or customers with their insurance?
Well, yeah, obtaining BAFE registration demonstrates that the organisation are committed to competence. It also proves that they're independently audited on an annual basis. So really, they demonstrated ongoing competence as well. So on that basis, BAFE registration gives confidence to the client, to insurance companies, to enforcing authorities as well, that the organisation and its technicians are competent and that the work has been correctly undertaken.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much. So that's the end of our questions today. Thank you, James, for joining on the podcast.
It's been great. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the podcast. And I'll be back with another episode in a couple of weeks.